And if you are really interested in acquiring a home, the first thing that you want to do is start to save. That's the first thing. No matter how small it is, put aside something.
Welcome to Southwest Clarendon. As I said to you earlier, that this part of Jamaica is not a stranger to Prime Minister, as we would have had 2 Prime Ministers who would have been members of Parliament for Southern Clarendon. Both from your side of the aisle, His Honourable Bustamante and Hugh Lawson Shearer. So certainly, welcome, and you're always welcome. I'm not as hostile as they want to make it appear, right? I'm as civil as can be, because I know that at the end of the day, we all have to work together. But let me just borrow from the Prime Minister. He said something earlier at one of our handing over sermons, that the test of whether or not the beneficiary is one that is truly deserving of the house is the response from the community. You can easily glean from the response from the community whether or not it is this beneficiary is deserving. And certainly when you look at the before and after pictures, you see where we started, and you see where we are now. And certainly I must lend my support to the social housing program. I have to lend my support to it, because consecutive administrations have always placed housing at the forefront of how we transform the lives of ordinary Jamaicans. What is unique about this program is that this is fully funded by the government, and the individual doesn't have to pay a monthly mortgage, or doesn't have to pay back a single penny. So that's significant. So if you notice, we have handed over, this will make 3 houses. To date, none have been any of those that I have recommended. I understand how the system works, but I believe that we can do some more to make it more efficient. But my recommendation is also that we need to find a better way to fund this so that it can continue. Because I hear you mention earlier about the limited funds that are available, and that you might add some more funds next year. But I think the private sector needs to be invited in a way to come on board and partner and match some of the funding, because I think this is also a way we can move and transform Jamaica. And so I'm going to suggest that to you, because as usual I always try to make some recommendations. Because just criticize, and don't come with suggestions are waste of time. That don't make no sense. But this program makes a lot of sense. I'm sure that the beneficiary, Mancad, Everton Samuels, you're very happy for this house. You have wanted to move in for quite some time, and today is the day.
Everton, congratulations. Based upon the pictures here, it is clear that you are a deserving beneficiary. Let me say that this program is not political. There is no criteria under the selection parameters which ask for your political allegiance. All that is required to be selected under this program is that we establish that you are someone who is in need. So there are 2 layers that establishes that. The first is your application to your Member of Parliament, and we expect that your Member of Parliament would come and verify that you are in need. But even after that is done, because the MPs are allotted in the first instance 5 units, and then we have allotted them an additional 5 and an additional 5. But even then, they may get 100 applications for which they must select 15. You see the difficulty? So they must select the most needy cases that can be justified. It then goes to an oversight committee that then takes the application, the recommendation from the MP, and they do what is called a social investigation. They literally send persons from the central ministry into your community to check that Mr. Samuels actually live right here, and this is not some fake picture that has been sent in. But they also want to establish some other important factors. They want to know whether or not Mr. Samuels has income. So that means we want to know if you are working and if the work that you are doing puts you into an income category where you could afford to purchase a home. Once we establish that you are not in an income category where you can purchase, or you are not an income earner, you may be retired, as it appears that you are now, or you may be indigent, meaning you're unable to take care of yourself, then we would say, yes, this person qualifies. Then we look at your household. Are you a single person, or do you have children in your household? Particularly if you have a large household, we would want to look at that and consider that in approving your application. So once we have taken all of those things into consideration, then we move to another level now. Do you have rights to the land on which you are proposing to build? That's very important. The government can't go and build a unit on property that they don't own, or the rights to use is not properly established. Now, that process of establishing the right to use the land can take an extended period of time. We can't bypass that. That is law and policy. And if we were to do it, the first person to criticize us would be MP Lothan Cousins through the PAAC. Well, it's the PAC after the fact is done, but the PAAC during the process, and not just looking at the expenditure, but looking at the process. All right. So you sit on the PAC. No, I understand you sit on the PAC, but I'm saying that the process, that overview, that oversees government programs and their activities is the PAAC. Right? The PAC oversees government expenditure after it has occurred. But in whichever place, the same persons who are saying let's move quickly will be the same persons to criticize you if you are not compliant. So we have to do both things. We have to move quickly and we have to be compliant. So in response to MP Cousins' not complaint, but bringing to the attention of the public that there are these issues, my response is yes, the program does have issues, but it is not as a result of the program design or administration. We have built the program to be compliant with the laws. And if there are situations for which the law requires a particular action, even if those actions will elongate the process of delivery of the house, we will have to follow them. That we know is to the detriment of the beneficiary. Because to move the beneficiary from here to here, meaning from this situation to that better situation, we would want to do it in the shortest possible time. But we also have to do it in compliance with the law. But it is important to point out some facts. That this administration has built per year more houses than any other administration before. The NHD before 2016 was delivering on average about 2,000 to 2,500 units per year. Since this administration, we have gone as high as 6,000 units delivered in a year. We have increased the pace of housing delivery. In 2020, we made a commitment that we will build 70,000 new houses. The housing gap is estimated to be over 100,000 housing solutions for Jamaicans. We know that we would not have the capacity to do 100,000 houses, but we know that we could stretch our capacity to take on the construction of 70,000 new housing solutions. There are several agencies, several entities in Jamaica which will take this on. One of them is the National Housing Trust. The other is the HAJ, the Housing Agency of Jamaica. And then we have the Ministry of Housing itself, which does programs like this one, which we call social housing, under the new social housing program. We have UDC, which is also going to be building some houses. Now the NHD has committed to do 43,000 housing solutions. But what kind of houses will these be? Well, the truth is that the real demand for housing is in the category which we call affordable housing. Now, I can't tell you a price point of what would be considered affordable housing. And you know why I'll avoid that? Because no matter what price I say, someone is going to say that is too high. But you get the idea of what I'm communicating when I say affordable housing. A house that you can afford, whatever your price point is. The NHD does have a reserved price point in mind when they speak about affordable housing. And so what we're trying to do is to redirect the resources of the NHD into the affordable housing market. So the majority of the 43,000 houses that will be built will be houses that you can afford, affordable housing. And the NHD has put in place several programs to attract developers into that segment of the housing market. And I was on the phone this morning with the managing director of the NHD, and he tells me that they are close to settling with certain developers approximately 8,000 units out of that 43, which will be coming to market very soon. Now, in terms of the funding of housing coming from the NHD, you would have heard that as of the 1st of July, the NHD has increased its benefits to contributors. A single applicant can now get $7.5 million. That was increased from $6.5 million. However, we have added a twist to that. If you are going to buy a house and the house is priced at $12 million or lower, then as a single applicant, you can get $8.5 million. We have made it possible for 3 persons to co-make, as they call it. Before it was 2, now we have increased that up to 3. But if 3 persons co-make, then you can get a maximum of $21 million. A maximum of $21 million, which is good. That should be able to get you not just an affordable house, but what you would call a middle-income house.
Thanks to the Prime Minister.
So you're going to do one favor for them. You're going to give them a smile. I want to encourage all Jamaicans, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of how you may feel that, we may never be able to own a home. I want to encourage you to have faith. I want to encourage you to think positively. And if you are really interested in acquiring a home, the first thing that you want to do is start to save. That's the first thing. No matter how small it is, put aside something. And then, after that, make sure that you are a registered NHT contributor. Those are two important things, because your government is structuring the NHT in such a way that there will be a benefit there for you to be able to own a home.